Revolution grips the country and a fervent fever runs deep across the faces of the soldiers at Fort Lee. It had been a disastrous few days for the Continental Army, with Fort Washington now being held in the grip of the British. Yucky. Word had spread quickly that it wouldn't be long now before the same fate would befall Fort Lee, only a stone's throw from New York itself. A chill iced the faces of the young men hunkering in the barracks, a collective of over 2,000 with not a single one having the guarantee that tomorrow would ever come for any of them. They knew the numbers. The Royal Navy had over 5,000 men on the march, likely a conservative estimate after their previous victories. Mutterings from the officers' tables betrayed any semblance of eternal confidence. Fort Lee may as well be flying the British red ensign tonight, lest the inevitable be delayed any longer. A young lad stirred, standing from the oak bench he was previously seated at, feeling the need to relieve himself. He did not want to perish with a full bladder after all. Aiming to find a latrine before the candles were extinguished, he wrapped a standard issue scarf around his wind-burned lips and pulled the tent flaps apart before sidestepping a guard doing the rounds outside. He was tall and broad-shouldered, a veritable human cannon if there ever was one. He could feel the man's eyes piercing him, watching him for any signs of desertion. He ignored the feeling of guilt for even pondering the notion, for even letting it fester in his mind at all, and pushed past both the man and his intrusive thoughts. The soft crunch of snow beneath his feet drowned any notion that desertion would be fruitful regardless. He didn't have the supplies to survive outside the fort. He would either die frozen wandering in the snow, or he would die an American. A patriotic end sounded more palatable for some reason. At least he would die with purpose.
I'm the latrine. He trudged past the palisade, a wooden fence, to where the latrines were located. He passed a few other lads with equally solemn-looking faces. He didn't know them, not even remotely, but he knew just from a brief glance that they were all truly in a unified state tonight. Not simply only in ideals, but in their shared fate. He arrived at the pit and troubled himself for an instinctual deep sigh at the sight. The air stung as he exhaled. The latrine itself was a long horizontal pit, located a distance from the camp so that it wouldn't be an affront to the senses for those inside the walls. He noted, as he squatted over the line, that he was the only one here. The privacy was uncommon but highly appreciated. In truth, he couldn't remember the last time he had been so alone, and yet he could still feel those eyes piercing him. Maybe not the same eyes as those belonging to the guard who he had pushed past moments ago, but the notion was the same. It still felt like he was being watched, analyzed. Someone or something was sizing him up. The thought made the hair on his neck stand on end. His eyes darted around the perimeter of the palisade, the walls separating the latrine area from the rest of the camp. There were no guards adorning the entrances, not a single soul. Why couldn't he escape this feeling? He could feel his heart beating like a war drum, thumping relentlessly against his ribcage. It drowned out all of his other senses like a thick, oily deluge over the water. He looked for any indication of where this anxiety was stemming from. It should be common sense, his brain barked. He was in his most vulnerable state, his pants coiled around his ankles as he bared himself over the pit, while he was attacked by the cold and the dark. He couldn't have made himself a more perfect target if he tried. There was no calm to be found here in a place like this. It was simply the appropriate and only response, and yet still his mind had expected his eyes to spot the white cross and red coats of the British everywhere they looked. A surprise attack, an act of sabotage, a direct assassination attempt on Washington before the sun broke, any option wouldn't preclude him from being stabbed by a bayonet over this damn latrine.
His ears joined the party now as he heard the crunch of snow from behind him. He hadn't taken a step. He had not moved an inch. He knew for a fact that no one had been here. Still, when he arrived and he hadn't seen a soul enter the area since he had submitted into his squat. He dared not turn around as fear gripped every inch of his body so tight and so fiercely that movement seemed impossible, and his pants strangled his ankles so much so that any movement was precarious regardless. The crunching snow, louder and louder still, left no room for doubt. There was something behind him, some indeterminable question mark inching closer and closer. Is this how he would die? Is this how he would be remembered? As a naked fool cowering over a latrine in fear. He couldn't imagine anything worse, in truth, and the very idea struck him from his inaction. He suddenly tipped forward, twisting at the same time, landing with a thud on his bare ass in the snow. He was now facing what was once his flank, staring with unfettered bewilderment. He had expected to see a redcoat, but what he saw was not of this world, or nothing he himself had seen in his life up until that point. 2 legs held up a figure of about 4 foot in height. Tiny paws, or maybe hooves, dangled from the torso of a hairy beast. Leathery wings draped its figure like a coat, and a long neck precariously held up what appeared to be a horse's face. Horns curled down from its ears, and its eyes watched unblinking. A long, pointed tail curled from behind it, leaving a trail in the snow. The monster, or creation of Satan, or whatever it was, stared at him with curiosity. He couldn't help it, though. He could be damned. Instinct took hold, and a scream left his lips instinctually, and he scurried backwards away from the sight, his hands digging into the snow as he desperately attempted to put distance between himself and whatever his eyes were seeing. The creature, startled, unfurled its wings and took to the sky without any effort. The young man kept screaming until footsteps found him from behind. His fellow soldiers looked at him with utter confusement as he laid in the snow with his pants still around his ankles, screaming into the void. They had one immediate thought as they rolled their eyes: a young lad trying to earn his removal from the army through any means possible. Scholars now know what actually happened, however. That young lad had seen a figure that would come to be known as the Jersey Devil.
And this is the red thread.
Yeah!
We are those scholars, baby. We're the scholars. We're the scholars that have determined that thing was the Jersey Devil.
That was a long build up for it. That's like when you know how like when kids would smoke a cigarette and their parents were like, okay, well then smoke the whole fucking pack then, you liked it so much. It's like one of those things like, no, now I hate it. That kind of thing. I bet there's a lot of people like, what? Get to the point.
I know. I couldn't help it. I got into the mindset of what do you call it? An army man back in the Revolutionary War, and then I forgot about the Jersey Devil entirely.
You got that is true patriotism right there. He got so engrossed with the idea of the American soldier that he forgot about the cryptid.
The patriotism took over.
USA.
Okay, so here's the problem. Like, if you want to make a scary story, it can't be done in like a paragraph. It can't, because there's not enough. You don't have any kind of thing to latch onto to make it scary.
Well, that's only because you're not a professional like the Redditors on 2-sentence horror.
Yeah, true. I need to go study 2-sentence horror. Damn it. Anyway, this is the red thread. I'm Jackson, Charlie and Isaiah, both here as usual. They're both cryptid scholars as well. I've seen their credentials. They're top quality stuff. They've gone to the best cryptid university, so I trust them to give a reputable recount of what the Jersey Devil is. So that's why they're here. And yeah, this week we're going to be talking about the Jersey Devil, which I would say is one of the more probably one of the more famous cryptids. Right? It's got a long history.
It's got to be top 10, I think.
Yeah. One of our friends of the show, I guess, friends of the official podcast, Psychic Pebbles. I think this is his favorite cryptid. So shout out to Psychic Pebbles. Do you remember him talking about it when he came on the show, Charlie? I'm pretty sure
vaguely.
He went on.
I vaguely remember him talking about the Jersey Devil. I don't remember what he said about it.
I think he said he believed it's real. He's seen it. I think he said he's seen it. Anyway, regardless, that just screams to me. If a cultured man like Zach, Psychic Pebbles, knows a lot about the Jersey Devil and loves him, then this is going to be a quality cryptid in my mind. So yeah, how much do you guys actually know about the Jersey Devil?
Not too much from me. It's been a long time since I ever even heard about the Jersey Devil. I obviously know it like generally, but I don't know like any of its origins or anything. What it likes to eat. What it likes to do.
It's got a long history.
Yeah, I think I know, knock on wood, pretty much all the main things about the Jersey Devil. I covered it recently in my cryptid series, and I gave it an S tier ranking because I do think it's a really cool cryptid. But I wouldn't call it my number one, but I get why it would be someone's number one. Although I think it's a bit hypocritical if he truly believes in it and thinks he saw it. I don't know why it's not in Smiling Friends. It seems kind of, a little strange to me.
There's a new season coming of Smiling Friends, isn't there? So very, very likely that Jersey Devil will show up in that.
I think if he doesn't put it in season 2, I think the Jersey Devil should kill him. That's my official stance. Thank you. Out of respect.
See, this is what I think. So in Zach's case, I think he is from New Jersey or he's from around there, maybe New York. Regardless, though, I think it's really cool in America that pretty much every place has a cryptid, its own cryptid, due to just a long history. We've got cryptids over here in Australia for sure, but like there's no Sunshine Coast beast or anything like that for me, so I don't have any like direct
Coast beast. You've got the bunyip. What else do you have?
Yeah, but that's Jesus, I can't remember. Drop bears, obviously people say drop bears are a cryptid, but that's more of a meme. But yeah, like the bunyip is the main one I know, and that's more like there's a lot of like Aboriginal folklore, I don't know if you would count them as cryptids though, but like the dream serpent and stuff like that.
If Americans count them, then I'd say it would count. But yeah, I see what you mean. It's very different vibes because we've got, like you said, we've got a cryptid pretty much every 10 square miles. There's something else. Yeah,
like the Goatman himself is in like 100 different cities across the country. Apparently, like a different denomination of Goatman for each city, which is like crazy and also super cool. I don't have that, which is a shame because I would really like that, but I get to live vicariously through you guys at least, and the Jersey Devil is one of those ways I get to live through you, or at least Psychic Pebbles. So anyway, before we get started on this episode though, let's shout out the notes for this week. Link below in the description, you can see the research as well as that very long intro if you want to read it in your own time. It's all in there. So yeah, you can find that in the description below, and there's also audio platform links as well, so you can listen to it at work or when you're on your cryptid hunts for yourself out in the woods. You can listen to the episode about the Jersey Devil for research notes. And beyond that, this episode is made possible by our friends over at ExpressVPN. They're massive Jersey Devil fans, and you'll hear more from them later on in the episode. Okay, so that's all the notes. Let's talk about the Jersey Devil itself, the appearance. Look at it. It's up on screen, and I described it pretty accurately, I would say, in the intro. What do you guys think? Was I pretty close?
Kind of. This looks, well, at least the far right one looks significantly more cartoonish than your description would have you believe.
Okay, well, first of all, was my description scary?
No.
Okay,
Charlie's just,
that's pretty
he's
good.
just trying to be a hater. I loved the intro. I thought it was great pacing and all that. Charlie just wants to see you cry. So I think
I know Charlie by now.
I just know you're better than this, Jackson. I know you could have come up with
every week.
Scary
Surely
stuff.
I'm not now. Surely I'm not better than this if it's been
I will say after the Epstein one, I haven't seen anything top that, I'll admit.
Yeah.
But it's so difficult because like I don't want to. It's if I do the whole "you are the thing," like you are Epstein or whatever every single time, then it's just like played out.
I think if you ended that Revolutionary War story with "you look down into the pond, you're Jeffrey Epstein," I think that would have been the case.
Yeah, right, like there. Your intro was a huge red herring the whole time. It had nothing to do with the Jersey Devil. You're just Epstein again.
Just nothing. And now we're talking about the Jersey Devil.
Yes. Yeah.
Wait, I don't remember. Was Epstein from Jersey? Because that would be hilarious. He would be the Jersey Devil, but I don't think he was. He was from New York, wasn't he?
Yeah. I think
all I gotta say is, since Epstein died, Jersey Devil's been real quiet. So.
That is true. All right. Well, we got the court mandated Jeffrey Epstein reference out of the way now, so we can continue on about the Jersey Devil. So the one on the right here, it's kind of like a dragon goat, maybe. I don't know. What would you describe it as?
It's like a magic dragon looking thing.
Yeah, it looks cute. That representation to me looks cute.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. You think it looks cute because it's the way the cartoonist drew it, but a horse-headed thing with wings, like cloven hoofs, I don't think it'd be cute in real life, even if the drawing's kind of sweet. Well,
it depends. Does it like dance around and like tell jokes and stuff like that, or is it just like a horse? Like, does it just
I think it just kills
stink?
you. I'm pretty
You wrote the story, don't you remember? It doesn't just dance around.
It did. It just like took off in my story.
It did leave. That's true.
Yeah, but that's not dancing. That's scaring. That's like a bad omen type of thing.
Anyway, to describe this for people at home, it's kind of like a mix of a body of a kangaroo kind of a lamb. I don't know what to describe it as. It's got horns in some depictions. It's got a horse face. It's got a long neck, some wings, like leathery wings next to it, little hooves that seem like ineffectual. Like it doesn't do anything. They're just dangling from its torso. And then 2 long legs at the back. Its entire pose is like extremely unrealistic. Like it looks like it would just fall over straight onto its face.
That's part of the horror of it. It has a very uncanny appearance. Like it shouldn't exist or be able to walk the way that it does because it's supernatural.
Yeah. And so its tail is also like very Satan-esque. It's got a very like devilish tail. And like I said, the horns. Its face is depicted in multiple different ways across depictions. It's got like a horse face in this one, then like a goat face, and then it's just like it got a very human impish face in this one, in a different one. So discussions on its appearance, descriptions of the appearance of the Jersey Devil kind of like ebb and flow depending on where the depiction is coming from. I don't know. I don't personally find it to be a very creepy looking cryptid, but I guess, Isaiah, you might be right. If I was confronted with it in real life, the story might be different.
Well, picture it this way. Horses, right, are pretty big. So imagine a horse that walks upright, has wings that have a span as long as it is, and horns on top of its head, right? And it moves on those rear legs in like a broken, jilted manner through the woods and lets out cries that sound like a dragon. You wouldn't want to run into that in the middle of the night.
Okay, that's compelling. That's compelling. I think I'm too corrupted by the very cute picture.
Yeah, there's also plenty of other things you wouldn't want to run into in the middle of the night, though, that aren't that. Like, I wouldn't want to run into, like, a raccoon at night, even though I think they're kind of cute during the day.
Okay, hold on. You got me all wrong. I would love to run into a raccoon at night. I'd be that thing's best friend. I'd give it snacks. we would go hang out.
Oh, you say that till it starts fucking tearing you limb from limb.
Wait, but then, okay, sorry, language, but you hypocrite. You hypocrite. You said that a goat wouldn't be scary, even though Goatman, like in the Goatman intro story, you said a goat appearing behind you at night.
Oh,
and now you're saying raccoons.
Jackson with the receipts.
Raccoon,
look at that.
Okay, that would be a fair point if it wasn't a goat. A goat is still not scary under any circumstances.
How is a raccoon more scary than a goat?
A raccoon can have rabies. A goat.
A goat can have rabies.
When was the last time a goat had rabies? I'm gonna look it up.
I mean,
raccoons are very common carriers of rabies.
Yes, but they also have little hands and want to be friends, whereas goats just have hooves. So I think that offsets the whole rabies thing.
Yeah, it's very rare for goats, from what I can see here.
Well, rare, but like still possible. And also, so the whole fear base.
What if you have rabies, Charlie? You ever consider that?
That's one of my biggest fears. It is.
He doesn't shut up about it. So the basis of this fear is like, does the thing have rabies?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your Charlie's scale of fear is a spectrum of rabies to not rabies. And wherever it lies in there, that's where he's afraid of.
Well, the Jersey Devil definitely probably has rabies.
Charlie, what is your nightmare scenario of a thing to have rabies that you run into? Like, what animal with rabies would you never want to encounter above all else?
It'd have to be a bat, because they're fast, they fly, and you don't really see them coming. And they are, I believe, the most common transmitter.
What if it was, per se, like a lion with rabies?
Yeah, it wouldn't bother me as much. I just don't find myself being around lions that often.
That wouldn't bother you as much as a bat?
But that wouldn't... A lion showing up wouldn't... I mean, a lion without rabies.
Yeah, but like that would be the least of my concerns is the rabies.
Yeah, true. At that point, yeah.
All right, fair. So the rabies is at its maximum threat level when it's a bat.
It's a bat.
Yeah.
When the creature gets smaller. Yeah.
Anything small. Gotcha. All right. Well, for the rest of us who are cryptid truthers instead of conspiracy theorists, non-believers like you, I think that the Jersey Devil's pretty scary.
I like the
That's
idea
fine.
of someone who's actually interested in the Jersey Devil, doesn't know any of us, like clicks on this podcast to actually hear about the Jersey Devil, and it's just been 30 minutes of short stories as well as rabies talk. We haven't touched on the Jersey Devil
We
at all,
talked
really.
about how
Fine.
it looks a little bit, but we'll get there.
Yeah, here, you know what? You're right, here. I'll take the origins. 1735, Jane Leeds, more commonly known as Mother Leeds, was living in the New Jersey Pine Barrens. To her dismay, she discovered she was pregnant with her 13th child. Her family was poor and her husband was an alcoholic. Distraught with the possibility of having this child, she cursed aloud, "Let this one be the devil." And so it became one. As her pregnancy went on, Mother Leeds had forgotten about her hateful words and prepared for the birth of her child. On a stormy night, she went into labor. Her family huddled around candlelight as she gave birth to a baby boy. A seemingly normal baby at first, suddenly it began to screech and change before their eyes. Wings grew out of its back and hair prickled up from its skin. He turned into the ugliest creature they had ever seen. It attacked the family and the midwives and subsequently unfurled its wings and flew into the swampy area nearby where it's been lurking in the marshes of southern New Jersey ever since. This is the most common story on the origins of the Jersey Devil. However, details around certain aspects of the story have been known to change. There have been variations on this story of Mother Leeds. Some believe that she was a witch, and the women who assisted her in labor were only there out of sheer curiosity as they had all heard the rumors that she would give birth to the devil. When the baby was born healthy, the surrounding crowd were dissatisfied or disappointed until the baby began to shift into the devil. Mother Leeds has also been described as a young girl from Leeds Point helplessly falling in love with a British soldier. The Battle of Chestnut Neck was happening at the time, and the divide between Americans and British meant the relationship between Mother Leeds and her British lover was frowned upon. The townsfolk cursed her, and when she later gave birth to her child, it became the Leeds Devil. There are also stories of a family curse plaguing the family, resulting in the birth of the Jersey Devil, and another tells of how Mother Leeds was a Quaker, and Quakers believe that everyone has a connection to God, which sometimes called inner light or spirit. She refused to be converted by a clergyman and he got mad and cursed her next child to be the offspring of Satan. Some even believed the story that a young girl had passed a hungry gypsy asking for food. She refused, scared, and in result, that gypsy cursed her. As you can see, there are various different versions of the story, with some adding different themes and historical context for the abomination. Religious aspect with Quakers, historical aspect with contentious breakup between colonies and England, but one fact always remains the same. Mother Leeds gave birth to the devil that night, and it would go on to haunt the local woods as the Jersey Devil.
Yeah, so it's always the same kind of... In terms of the origins of the Jersey Devil, it's kind of like... There's slight variations, but the core idea that Mother Leeds, or this Jane Leeds woman, gave birth to the devil in the early 1700s. Question from me, from Jackson. When was the Salem witch trials, and was Salem around there? Salem's around Boston, right? Or somewhere around that area.
Salem witch trials, 1692.
So that's like somewhat close in time, like a few decades before that. So the idea of witches and giving birth to, abominations was prevalent around that time. So that's kind of along the same lines as this. So it's the same kind of story. There's a few elements like bringing in religion, obviously with the Quakers and stuff like that, as well as the historical stuff like the war between Britain and the US at the time, that flavor certain elements, but it's fundamentally the same story at the end of the day. This woman gives birth to this creature. She has been spited, or she's evil, or she has been wronged in some way, and this is her curse that she gives to the world. Isaiah, did you have anything to add to this? Any kind of insight as to like the religious element, maybe?
Yeah, so you can kind of see, you're spot on with talking about the Salem witch trials. There was this spirit of, I don't want to say paranoia, but almost like a practicality to everything to do with religion that was very prevalent, especially in like Britain and American colonies around this time. Mm-hmm. You basically had the rise of like spiritualist ideas, or the idea that members of the church, clergy, pastors, or whatever, would have special abilities or something like that. Like they could perceive who was demonic and who wasn't. This is when a lot of beliefs around like speaking in tongues and stuff like that became popular in like, European civilizations. So you have like a very... a heavy hand on the performance part of scripture, of spirituality. So because of that, naturally the enemies of spirituality started to take forefront too. It wasn't that people in town were, enemies of you, or they just didn't want to be a part of the church. They were witches or warlocks and performed black magic. It was seen that if in a lot, now of course this isn't with every religion across the board, but in a lot of like Quaker beliefs and stuff like that, if say you had a bad season on the farm of your cows didn't produce milk, or you didn't have a lot of, your crops come to prosper, then either you've done something to make God upset, and he's the one cursing your farm, or someone else is cursing you and not allowing your stuff to come to fruition. So if the person who is having a hard time is a powerful member in the town, then he can use his influence to say, oh, well, it's this person who doesn't like me and they're actually a witch. So you kind of have that same spirit here. All the story around Mother Leeds involves that she was ungrateful for another child, perhaps, or that she was in some kind of affair, or that she was a witch. There's always some negative aspect applied to her. So naturally, the offspring of that must be the devil. So it's interesting. You can see, it's almost like the Jersey Devil was a villain made for the quote unquote heroes of the time. Something that naturally counters everything they believe. It's very stooped in that colonialist spiritualism.
You'll definitely see that later on. When we were doing our research, there was a very interesting, prominent theory based around the creation of the Jersey Devil. We've talked about the origins of the Jersey Devil with Jane Leeds, but the actual creation of the origins, I guess, the story, has a very interesting beginning, and it comes down to that idea that you just espoused of kind of like a rivalry between two people, and using this kind of religious or spiritual context to kind of blame one another, and it's very interesting. So we'll get down to that eventually after we talk about stuff like the sightings. But first, a word from the sponsors of this episode. You probably know this, but VPNs are some of the most important tools that you need in this day and age to protect yourself against those pesky digital cryptids. Sadly, I'm not talking about the goofy creatures like Goatman or the Jersey Devil. No, I'm talking about hackers and data thieves. Yeah, slightly less cutesy now, eh? That's why we stand by ExpressVPN at Red Thread. They're a solid defense against both cryptids and hackers and data harvesters, and they're there to make your life more secure. The truth is, every time you connect to an unencrypted network, your data is at risk of being stolen or harvested by some nefarious individual. Simply put, your data is just not secure. Any hacker on the same network can very easily access and steal your personal data. Things like passwords and your financial information, or even just information about you as a person. They can take that and sell it to telemarketers across the country, across the world even, for lots of money, making themselves rich while putting your information in the hands of some very dodgy individuals. That's why you need ExpressVPN, and that's why I use ExpressVPN, because ExpressVPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. A tunnel that hackers can't easily break into at all. To put it into some more impressive numbers, it would take a hacker armed with a supercomputer. I'm talking about a NASA supercomputer here. It would take a hacker armed with that over 1 billion years to get past ExpressVPN's encryption. That's a long time. I'm not planning on living that long, so that's enough for me. Also, conveniently enough, it's also super easy to use. It's just you boot it up on your computer, you click a single button, and you are connected, secure, encrypted. It's perfect, it's peace of mind, it's safety, all in the press of one button. It works across all devices, your phones, your laptops, your tablets, and so on, meaning you're secure however you use ExpressVPN. I love ExpressVPN. It is so easy and quick to use, and I get to browse the internet with confidence knowing that ExpressVPN is protecting me and my precious data. It's peace of mind, and in an increasingly more and more scary digital world, that means so much, and it can't be overstated how important that layer of protection is to using the internet in this day and age. So secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/redthread. That's EXPRESSVPN.com/redthread, link below, and you can get an extra 3 months free. That's expressvpn.com/redthread for an extra 3 months of protection for free. And I highly recommend you go do it because you need it in this day and age. You really do. It just protects you. It protects you against people that don't care about who you are. They just want your data. So go to expressvpn.com/redthread to get protected now. Thank you to ExpressVPN for protecting the Red Thread and me and all of us. Really appreciate the service you guys do. And thank you to all of you for listening to The Spot and also for watching the episode. It really means a lot. And now back to the Jersey Devil. So the very first, let's talk about the prominent sightings because there are a lot of them. I've got this map of notable sightings, which is
charted
a Google
every
map.
single time he's poked his head out.
I didn't do that. It was someone else. So credit to whoever did that. But yeah, there's an interesting little map.
So you're
here.
saying you did this all yourself, and if someone else says they made it, they're a liar. That's what you're saying.
I appreciate you taking the time for this, Jackson. It probably wasn't
It's
easy.
a lot. So everyone, this is Jackson's, and if you got a problem with that, you can take it up with him.
Where'd it go?
I moved it.
Because it's mine. You can't have it.
Okay, so the very first, well, not the very first, but one of the main sightings was from Joseph Bonaparte, so Napoleon's brother and the King of Spain. During the Peninsular Wars, he lost Spain to England and had to leave his throne in the early 1800s. So he traveled to America for a new start. He was he came to America because he wanted that American dream.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Spanish kings did in those days. They just fled to America. I guess America kind of accepted everyone at that time in terms of if they had wealth. So he went to America in exile after Napoleon's defeat, settling on a large property in Bordentown in New Jersey. He adapted into life in America well, building a mansion and throwing lavish parties. He was a bit of a party monster. Joseph enjoyed hunting and went out one snowy afternoon in 1812 to a nearby woody area, and he began following some tracks he found on the ground, noting that one foot seemed to be bigger than the other. And this is actually a kind of a fact that comes up in a lot of sightings. For some reason, there's a mismatched foot size on the Jersey Devil. That's kind of like a common fact in the sightings, which I guess speaks to its level of just abomination. It's just like a mutated freak almost of just, an amalgamation of different body parts.
I love the idea that you see two different size footprints. You're like, this fucking unholy heathen, this disgusting creature. Feet aren't symmetrical.
Man, whatever this is, we have to kill it.
This needs to die.
I assume it's like a pretty significant difference and not just like, a centimeter width increase or something. It has to be like significant for it to be noted.
Well, yeah, even still though, I probably wouldn't be like, if I saw two different size footprints, I probably wouldn't like blow a gourd or lose my gourd over it. I'd probably just be like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Well, that proves you don't have what it takes to be the King of Spain.
That's true. Yeah, that's what separates me from Joseph.
If you're not willing to kill people that look different than you, then you're not cut out for aristocracy. So
that's why you got kicked out.
It's get in or get out,
So the track suddenly stopped with no other prints in the snow leading anywhere. The only way for the creature to move away would be by flight. A hissing noise caught Joseph's attention and he found himself facing a massive beast. This is another thing that happens. It's described as massive here, but in a lot of other accounts, it's like 4 foot high. It's like
That's
tiny.
pretty big.
It's like the size of a dog. Well, okay, yeah, that is. But in other accounts, it's described as like the size of a dog, basically. So there's a massive discrepancy between like sizing accounts. Sometimes it's enormous.
What if
sometimes
there's
it's small.
multiple of them? What if
there's probably
the
multiple.
devil had more?
How did that happen?
devils?
Oh, yeah, if the devil spawned more, like Jane Leeds had triplets or something. But how do they breed? How would they breed?
Well, it's kind
How
of
would they
like,
procreate?
you know how tack inserts work in Call of Duty? Like, you drop one and that's where you spawn. Well, after the first one spawned, he could probably just call in more from hell or something, right?
Well, I was thinking something different. It could probably just like actually reproduce. It just has more choices. It can fuck a horse. It can fuck a goat. It can fuck whatever and make like an offspring.
Yeah, it can fuck bats. As long as it has a body part that belongs to that animal, it can fuck it, basically. Is what you're saying.
The way Charlie said that, like, I just made an absurd claim, and he goes, well, I actually was thinking of something completely different.
I was thinking of how it fucks.
We're just gonna gloss over whatever that was.
I appreciate your theory, Isaiah, but have you considered the things that it might be fucking
weird? Anyway, so
this is going to be the first R-rated red thread.
Oh no, we've crossed. Do you remember the Wendigo episode?
Oh yeah, true. That was us fucking. That's completely different.
Yeah, it was super different.
And there was no offspring out of that, so it's completely like at least this
Not that
one's
we know
practical. Yeah. Well, we know someone's gonna draw that. Be careful.
Joseph had his rifle with him, the rifle he brought from Spain, but he was so startled that he was unable to use it. Instead, they both just stared at each other, which is what all these cryptids do. They always just stare. Do something, damn it. The creature then flew away.
It did something. There you go.
Yeah, they're just bitches. They just fly away. I guess he knew that this was the king of Spain, so no sense trying anything against him. When talking to people who knew about what happened, his friends broke the news that he had just seen the Jersey Devil. He never saw it again, but searched for it constantly until he returned to Europe. So he was a changed man from that point on. He was I just like the fact that the king of Spain saw this son of a bitch. Like, this is how it goes all the way to the top. It's not just like, local hooligans or crackheads or anything like that have just seen the Jersey Devil in the streets or anything. The king of Spain saw it. That's how big this is.
And he told all of his descendants about it. So then every year they get together at Bohemian Grove and have ceremony in honor of it. Like, it all makes sense if you think about it,
Yeah. If you think about it really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think that was the first sighting. The first sighting was back in 1725, around when the story started. Obviously, the story started in 1735. So around then. Those stories were just kind of like secondhand accounts. Nothing like wild, nothing too crazy. It's just like, oh, I saw the Jersey Devil in the woods. Don't go out there. That kind of thing. But yeah, the Joseph Bonaparte sighting was like the first big one in terms of significance.
And then it had kind of an explosion in popularity, like early 1900s, where it says the Jersey Devil was well and truly out and about in January of 1909 with thousands of reported sightings.
Yeah,
on the weekend,
shit got insane.
Yeah, like a 1,000 sightings all at once. Sounds like a bunch of people got together and decided to. Yeah, mass paranoia, huh? Definitely not a series of demon monsters in the air. That's definitely what they.
I'll take your stance. I'll take your stance this time. I believe it. Thank you.
There we go.
I want to believe it because there's so many stories here in January. It seems insane that it would just crop up like that.
You make me sick.
Come on, it's so cool. Continue.
You make me sick. I heard that, Charlie. On the weekend of the 16th of January, it was seen flying over Woodsbury, and its tracks were found in the snow in Bristol, Pennsylvania. These strange tracks, where they would stop and start suddenly, were found all over, especially in Burlington. On the 19th, a couple in Gloucester saw the Jersey Devil for over 10 minutes outside their window in the early hours of the morning, from which we have a statement from Nelson Evans that says, it was about 3.5 feet high, with a head like a collie dog and a face like a horse. It had a long neck, wings about 2 feet long, and its back legs were like those of a crane, and it had horse hooves. It walked on its back legs and held up 2 short front legs with paws on them. It didn't use the front legs at all while we were watching. And my wife and I were scared, I tell you, but I managed to open the window and say, shoo, and it turned around, barked at me, and flew away. This old guy like, all right, you've had your fun, get out of here.
Scram.
Imagine the balls on a man who has to see who sees a cryptid like this and just opens the window and says shoo. Just like, get out of here, scram.
Just the most hateful old, like he fought in the Civil War. Now he's like throwing open his window. This used to be a nice neighborhood.
And yet again, the Jersey Devil just flees. Like, he just flies away. Well, this time he barks.
He says it barked at him. I want to know if it was actually like a dog bark, because his description's weird. It has the head of a dog and the face of a horse. Wouldn't that just be a horse? Don't they both have like a long-faced dog?
Yeah, maybe it's just a long-faced dog.
Yeah, maybe it has like a really long
apart from the
snout.
wings and flying away. That's,
Yeah.
that's not dog-like.
What, your dogs don't do that in Australia? What the heck?
Yeah, no.
You gotta get with the
He
times.
also says that it had horses' hooves. So, again, a lot of... Oh, wait. Yeah, worked on his back
I'm
legs.
seeing a lot of artistic discretion in Nelson Evans' thing. Because how do you... From where you were at, how do you know it was horse hooves?
That's what
Could
I'm
have been
saying.
goat hooves. Could have been cow hooves, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean it was a dog
Well, he did-
head with a horse face? It's just a horse.
It would be hard for him to say it if it was on the ground, but as we know, the Jersey Devil stands on its back legs like a civilized cryptid, so it's got its little hooves.
That's
up in
what
the
I
air,
meing. He's
so-
using too much discretion. Like he's like, oh, it had the hooves of a horse. Like you got to imagine in like a Liam Neeson voice. Like he's like,
Yeah.
I saw it out in the pines with its wretched growl or whatever. It's like, okay, how?
The stories are very prevalent at this time, so he already knew the details of what it was meant to look like as well. So that probably colored what he thought he saw, if he genuinely thought he saw the Jersey Devil.
Yeah, I think he's a fucking liar. I think Nelson Evans is a man you can't trust as far as you can throw him.
You know what? I was being critical of his description until Charlie just said that, and I realized I have to get back to my soapbox. So I think Nelson was right about everything he said, actually.
This is what I have to say to that. Oh, nope, that fart wasn't loud enough to be picked up, but I farted when you said that.
I thought it was going to be a fart. What was that noise? Is someone... Were you moving the mic directly to your asshole?
No, I don't know if you heard it, but I just like moved in my chair, but yeah, I just lifted a cheek.
See, he can't even get a solid retort out. And this is the guy you're going to believe, people. This is the guy.
I like how a fart being picked up would have been a solid retort.
Well, it would have been impressive. Okay, I would have heard it and I would have shut up. But since I didn't hear anything, this man's a fraud. And Nelson Evans saw the Jersey Devil that day. So,
I mean, I agree. Charlie's argument was not very persuasive. In fact, it was inaudible.
maybe if see, there you go. Look at that. No, that's a real American. You know what, Jackson? You might be Australian, but you're a patriot in my book. I'm just high, okay? I'm just having a good time talking about cryptids.
Now you should clarify that you're high on like
Yeah.
painkillers for your
Hold
wisdom
on.
teeth.
Yeah. I should. Yeah, what he said. I got my wisdom teeth removed 2 days ago, and it hurts a lot. So I'm on pain medication, and I can't feel a thing. I feel great. And
Look how much of a trooper he is, though. He still shows up to the recording after getting his teeth yanked. And Charlie, you can't even fart for him. You sick fuck.
I'm working on another one right now, actually. I was
Thank you.
trying to make it a surprise, but okay.
It better be crispy after the time.
It'll be when you least expect it to.
Working on one as well. Like you're sitting there just trying to load it up.
Look,
Come on.
as someone with 4 extra holes in his head right now, I just wanted to talk about cryptids with my friends. All right, so I'm having a great time right here.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, even though Charlie can't fart for me.
Well, he's trying to create a cryptid for you right now.
Thank you.
The fart
All
that
right.
never was.
Once again, I'm imagining that person who really cares about the Jersey Devil listening to
Yeah.
this podcast.
Just be like, this is the last episode of the Red Thread I ever watch.
Yeah. We
Hey,
don't.
remember to rate us on Spotify, by the way, and leave comments about Charlie's pathetic fart.
Yeah.
I'd love to read those.
Fuck.
The Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil was also chased off from attacking a trolley car in Hayden Heights. Armed security guards began to monitor the local trolley cars and in nearby neighborhoods to help protect the community. Poultry farmers were finding their chickens dead, and the Jersey Devil was even seen attacking a dog before the owners scared it away. This is the first report of the Jersey Devil attacking a living creature. The public tried to track the Jersey Devil down. They followed tracks, some even for over 30 kilometers, to find the beast. A worker... What?
Wait, does the tracks stop and disappear, or does he fucking just walk in a line for 30 kilometers that are entirely trackable?
I think that means the trackers went 30 kilometers.
Yeah, but still, they would have to be tracking tracks. That's what they do, right? Like,
I can
how
see
else
the
would they-
Jersey
No.
Devil like flying in bursts, but even if they're not following tracks, you can track something for like when
Yeah,
you
without
track
footprints.
deer, you continue in the direction that you see signs of it. You don't have a clear, path through the ground.
Okay, but how do you track a thing with wings that flies? Like, how do you actually track birds?
It's not like straight soaring. It's probably doing little, like, it's doing hops, you know, kind of like the way a turkey does, you know?
Yeah, its wings probably don't work super well.
Yeah, it's a horse size thing, right? Like, so it jumps a little bit and kind of like, you ever seen a chicken, like when you throw it in the air, it kind of like flutters to the ground?
Yeah, it just glides.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, the Jersey Devil's like a chicken is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
A worker in Atlantic City even apparently shot the Jersey Devil, though it did nothing but slightly injure it for a short period of time. It seemed nothing could harm the creature. Some even saw it walk on electric rails unaffected. It caused a storm of panic through the towns who were waiting for the next sighting or the next attack. Its reign of terror ended on the 22nd when it was last reportedly seen that month.
So the 22nd, that's only about a week of sightings, but there were just constant sightings throughout that entire week, which is kind of strange. I get the whole concept of mass paranoia, but it's so strange to me that it just ends just as quickly as it begun.
Pretty convenient, huh? That it seems everyone, like, for 1 week saw it and then no one saw it after that. Could be mass paranoia. Could be an easy mass paranoia. Wait, hold on. Backtrack. Mass paranoia could be the easy excuse for whatever they don't want you to know about. What do they not want you to know about? The Jersey Devil.
Yeah, I mean, apart from the conspiratorial element there, like, what if it is just the Jersey Devil? Like, straight up, like, it's a week of sighting. I just don't understand how it could stop. If it was mass paranoia, wouldn't this continue for like a pretty sizable time and have more of a waning off period of people just getting bored of it, of saying the sightings and stuff? How does it just end like that, just so suddenly?
That's a good question. I don't remember. The last major case I remember of it starting and stopping suddenly was with the Pokemon Porygon episode. I think that pretty much started and stopped like very quick, but it's been a while since I've looked at it.
Wait, the Porygon episodes connected to the Jersey Devil?
No,
the mass hysteria element of it.
I see the mass hysteria. Not that the episode of Porygon was making people see the Jersey Devil.
No, that would be pretty crazy though if it did.
Yeah.
That would be a wild
I got you. There's been a lot of cases of mass hysteria that have happened like recently and stuff like that. I made a video covering a bunch of there's this one on TV. It was a Spanish TV show where the episode showed a bunch of teenagers pretending to be sick to like stay home from school. And after it aired, like thousands of teenagers reported being sick across the city and like exhibiting symptoms and stuff like that.
Was that mass paranoia or like kids figuring out, hey, this works?
They were displaying symptoms and fooled doctors for a few days. So
okay, well that's interesting.
It's weird. Weird things happen. But this isn't one of those cases, and it's actually the Jersey Devil is what I meant to say. Yeah.
It's absolutely the Jersey Devil. Yeah. Can someone in the comments, though, if someone's like an expert on mass like hysteria and stuff like that, could someone explain why that is, why it suddenly drops off? Because I would be interested in knowing like the science behind it, if there is any such science. Because it does seem super weird to me that it just stops. It just stops.
It could be like this. If mass hysteria is like a wholly emotional thing, say there was like 2 or 3 sightings that were just outright hoaxes or whatever initially, right? And then everyone hears about those sightings at the same time, and then everyone has their own sighting afterwards. Well, the reports of that could take a week, to fully make their way around the circuit or whatever. So maybe everyone hears about it, everyone has their own episode, and then it ends, right? So it's not so much that they all quit after a week, it's that everyone kind of got it out of their system in those 4 days or whatever.
So it's like a virus almost, like an infection. It like spreads through the community, hits everyone, and then it just like dies because of that.
Everyone has their phase, everyone has a moment, and then they're done with it. Yeah.
That's interesting, yeah. I could believe that.
Definitely. I'm literally just a YouTuber. I'm a college dropout, but just a hypothetical.
It sounded good.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm a college dropout too. Charlie's not though, so he should weigh in on this. He's got a fitness degree, so
yeah, I'm college educated, and that sounded pretty good.
Sorry, officer. I apologize.
Hey, look at us, college dropouts. At least we can fart, Isaiah.
Yeah, a lot
I
of good that degree
successfully
does you
farted.
now.
It's just you didn't hear it.
Well, is there any point to it then? Like,
Yeah, I'm sure you did, college boy.
All right. So also there's a news, like I included in the document, there's a newspaper clipping about the lead devil, which is what it was called at the time, Leeds devil. And yeah, so it's a newspaper clipping with an article about it with a funny little drawing of what they imagine the lead devil to look like. And it says, fly rival of Leeds devil has Jersey people frightened. So yeah, it's a long little, article about it. It's just very interesting that this was so prevalent that it was in the papers and stuff at the time. Shows how much it had spread during that 1 week where everyone was in fear. And then we have the cab attack. Charlie, would you like to?
Yep. Fear over the Jersey Devil had died down with no particular sightings reported, and besides a few keen people trying to find tracks on the ground, many had forgotten about the creature entirely. That was until 1927. A cab driver was heading towards Salem when he suddenly needed to change his tire. When he pulled over, a creature had landed with a thud on the roof of his car. The car shook violently as the menacing creature scared the driver, who managed to run away. Frightened, he went to the police, but upon returning to the car, there was no trace of anything occurring.
Believable?
Nope.
Okay, moving on.
No, hold on. That's coming from someone who just doesn't want to see the truth that's in front of him, okay?
Yeah.
Clearly, this man was terrified and definitely wasn't using it as a gimmick so that people would want to ride in the taxi cab that the Jersey Devil landed on.
Oh, true. I didn't
That's a
consider
really
that.
smart business strategy. I did not think of that either.
Yeah,
Yo, kids, you want to get in the devil truck or whatever?
Gee whiz, mister. I sure do. But why would he go to the police? Surely he could just do it without going to the police.
Well, it gets written about if you go to the police. It makes it seem more real.
No, I believe him. After the mass paranoia and stuff like that, like all those sightings and stuff, I think the Jersey Devil existed in the area at the time. So also he probably hated cab drivers, so it makes sense why it would attack the cab driver. Heading towards Salem as well. That's an interesting point. That's where the witches live.
Look at that.
It all comes together.
All comes together.
They've also got a One Piece wanted poster here for the Jersey Devil that was put up in 1960. So there were some terrifying screams heard by many locals in May Landing. No one could identify what type of animal could make a sound like the high-pitched scream they could hear. Many started to wonder, could this be the Jersey Devil? Rewards began to be advertised for people willing to try and capture the beast. One noting to approach with extreme caution advertised a $250,000 reward promised by a wealthy merchant. A reward for $100,000 was also put up for the taking by a circus owner. Oh, it was also put up for the taking by a circus owner who wanted to make a performance around the Jersey Devil. These rewards were never claimed and no Jersey Devil was captured.
So they were obviously just set up to promote that, wealthy business as well as the circus, which is pretty obvious. But $250,000, if someone had actually captured the Jersey Devil, they would have made $2.6 million in today monies, from that $250,000 back in 1960.
Pretty good deal.
Yeah, pretty good deal. And that's also, I think, where the little police sketch comes from for the Jersey Devil itself, which is it looks like a tapeworm kind of with wings and a horse's face a little bit, like a worm. It's got a very worm-like body there with tiny little legs.
Do we know who was issuing that reward? Because if it was the state or something and they never thought to take it down, that reward could still be active and adjusted for inflation. You could get $2.5 million out of capturing this thing.
Yeah, you could 3D print a Jersey Devil today.
I'm not encouraging our listeners to go with a net and a comedically large box with a carrot and a stick in the middle of the Jersey Pine Barrens, but if you did, you could get really rich really fast. So
aren't scientists crossbreeding creatures and creating deformities and stuff, goat hybrids and stuff? Surely we can get there using science.
We could absolutely make it now.
if we play God hard enough, we might get $2.6 million.
Waste like hundreds of millions of dollars in crossbreeding programs and stuff like that. Like just this scientific abomination to earn $2.5 million. Yeah.
They were too busy to see if they could. They never stopped to ask if they should.
They never did the math.
We create these new races of demons to destroy the world, and we'll be like, we'll be taking our check by mail. Thank you very much. We did it, Patrick.
It's like,
we saved the city.
Yeah. It's like how in Jurassic Park, they created all the fucking dinosaurs and didn't realize how they just like procreate. Like they splice them with frog DNA and then the dinosaurs get out and just like split off from one another and just breed that way. They thought it was impossible that they would. Oh, I don't know why I'm talking about it like it actually happened.
No, it did happen, and I think it's important that we remember the tragedy at Isla Sorna.
You guys remember the dinosaurs mixed with the frog DNA, and we just never saw it coming?
That's what we have to take these lessons.
You know, after all that nuclear testing we did in the ocean, that giant lizard creature attacked Tokyo. You know. That was another tragedy that just science let happen.
That was just, we need to learn one day.
Yeah, we need to learn from these lessons.
The humanity of it all is tragic. And also people, you know, in New York, when they spilled all those chemicals into their toilets and it made like, you know, those 4 like
Ninja Turtles.
Whatever they were, like the karate turtles or whatever they were. Yeah,
well, they were good though. They helped us. They helped New York.
They still help us.
But not to our credit, you know, it comes out of, you know, our own hubris allows things like that to happen. So I see what you're saying, Jackson. We gotta stop.
Yeah, we don't think things through. Anyway, then there was the Green Tree Road sighting. Mary Ritzer Christensen was driving along Green Tree Road when something caught her eye. I wonder what it was. In her rear view, she saw a creature unlike anything she had ever seen before. Something that looked like a goat but walked like a human. Mary avoided driving down that road forevermore. Hope it wasn't the only road through town. She has always insisted that she was sober. It's a weird thing to throw out there. She's always insisted that she was sober when she saw the Jersey Devil, and while she was previously skeptical of the theory, she now believed in the creature. She's like, I swear I'm not a drunk. I'm not an alcoholic.
The way that's phrased is very funny. It's like she went into town, I saw the devil, and I'm not drunk this time.
And I was stone cold sober.
I know we've had a few, you know, mishaps before, but this time...
Oh, sorry. This is Mary's statement to a publication called Weird New Jersey, which I assume is not biased at all and is very reputable. So the quote is, "The figure stood taller than a man by far and had thick haunches supporting its nearly human-looking torso and huge woolly head."
I mean, that could have just been like a big dude, you know? Could have been Charlie, honestly. Man. He's tall.
Yeah, it said tall. It said taller than a man by far.
And he had a woolly head. That honestly could be Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie on stilts, maybe.
Yeah. Did you hear it fart, though? That would, if she did, it's not him.
Yeah. I wish there was like an account of a cryptid that just farted.
There is. There's ones that like they smell really bad and emit swamp gas all the time.
Well, yeah, that's different than like actually bearing us and letting one out.
There has to be one. Hold on.
There has to be. Yeah,
there absolutely is somewhere.
Yeah.
Mechanical keyboard clicking. Continue.
Charlie, you can take the next few if you want.
Yeah, I'll just blast through these. These all look pretty credible. 1980, Chief Ranger Alan McFarland stumbled across a brutal attack on numerous pigs. He described the massacre as something that stumped his wild animal knowledge. The bodies had been torn and mutilated and the backs of their heads eaten and ripped out. Most notably, there were no tracks of blood leading from the scene, almost as if the animal had flown and perched on the pigs.
It could just be a giant eagle, right?
Yeah, it could just be a huge bird of prey.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another Forest Ranger sighting. We got John Irwin, who claims that he encountered the Jersey Devil in the Pine Barrens in 1993. He was along the Mullica River driving his car when the Jersey Devil jumped out in front of him. While the Pine Barrens is home to many different types of animals, such as bears, John said this was nothing like he had ever seen before. Towering over 6 feet with black matted fur and devilish horns, they stared at each other, Irwin afraid to move. They were there for several moments, with John able to get a really good look at the creature he believes was the Jersey Devil. It didn't attack, but ran back into the forest, allowing John to safely get away.
Is it strange that these are pretty I guess, credible people. I mean, they're professionals. They're forest rangers, chief ranger, and we had the King of Spain.
Not really, I don't think.
So what would be the motive for this? It's not like he's advertising the forest. In fact, he's making the forest worse. He's being like, don't go in there. There's a fucking strange creature. Like, that's not an advertisement.
People love that. It makes it more interesting. Like, this would absolutely be great publicity for the forest, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. But I don't think even being forest rangers, they'd be... Like, I feel like they would be able to apprehend the Jersey Devil. Like, they come equipped with weapons as rangers. Like,
they handcuff him.
Yeah, we're taking you in.
Why would they lie? Therefore, it has to be real. Look at that. You've outdid yourself, Charlie. You got too far ahead of the case.
That's true.
Very convincing.
This seems to be the most recent one. This is Lori Winelman and her young son Glenn Jr. had ventured out into the snow one night in January 2004 to turn off their Christmas lights. Lori bent over to turn off the Christmas lights before turning around to see her son with a shocked look on his face. Turning once again to see what he was looking at, she saw a massive winged creature perched high on a tree above them. Instantly, they began to run towards the house. Lori says she heard a swoop and felt a rush of air above them and realized that the creature had flown onto the roof of their house where it began to walk across the roof. They managed to get inside and began to scream and cry out in terror for help. After a sleepless night, they awoke in the morning to find perfectly preserved, bizarre footprints on their roof that measured 9 inches by 5 inches and spaced 4 feet apart.
And then look, there's the footprint there. This is on the screen as well, but for audio listeners, it is a snow-covered roof with little footprints that look like little cat paws for some reason. But that's still them. They're there. They're footprints.
It's also in a perfectly straight line, so maybe the one leg, I guess.
Yeah, look at that. The Jersey Devil is so evil and wicked that now he's imitating the common house cat.
It's got such cute little paw prints too.
Yeah, it's very dainty.
But he wants you to think, so you get close and then he can kill you.
They don't look like hoof prints, they look like little paw prints. Anyway, so there's photographic proof.
Police and wildlife experts were baffled by the footprints and unable to identify them to any animal. Probably because I imagine it's not an animal, they just went up there with like a household object and stamped into the roof and called it an animal. Some believe that it could have been a great horned owl, as Glenn described the creatures having large round eyes, but the estimated weight of the animal that made these footprints was much greater than a great horned owl.
Maybe there's a really video called Great Horned Owl.
Yeah, there's a video called The Jersey Devil New Evidence Emerging Documentary in English Part 1, which at the 3:30 mark there's an interview with Lori about the incident.
Yeah, so she goes into detail about it there, but it's like all the things that we just described, but it's there for people that want to hear it for themselves. And then, so Charlie said that was the most recent. He was a liar.
Yeah, it's not.
A filthy goddamn liar. 2004, that's ages ago. In 2015, the Jersey Devil has shown up in his most dramatic way yet on camera. we have photographic pictures of him now. In October 2015, David Black claimed to have photographed the Jersey Devil. Sounds like it was like a modeling gig. David has been called crazy, but he was stuck. He has stuck by his story. He was allegedly driving home from work in the evening when he saw what he first thought was a llama running nearby. As he stopped to get a photo. What the fuck? Why would you stop to get a photo of a llama anyway? You've never seen a llama before?
It's just in a place it's not supposed to be, I guess.
All right, anyway, as he stopped to get a photo, the animal suddenly grew wings and began to fly over a golf course. And then this is the quote from David's statement on the sighting. "Yes, I swear it's not photoshopped or a staged thing," Black responded when I asked if he was willing to let me use his name and state that the photo he sent was not manipulated in any way. "People have said it's fake, but it's not. I'm honestly just looking for an explanation for what I saw." Imagine if this isn't fake and he actually genuinely is like freaking out about like, what the fuck did I see? Why won't anyone take this seriously? But like the photo itself, if one of you guys wants to describe it as well, but it is just a goat floating in the air, kind of.
Yeah.
It's just a goat. It's not. It got wings, kind of, but it's like a black cloud behind him. I don't know. He's just like floating upwards. It does look photoshopped. I'll be honest. Okay, long silence. Anyone want to like add anything to it?
I just think it's absurd that we have photographic evidence and yet you still deny, even though the evidence is, the truth's right in front of you. But that's okay.
I believe the whole 1900 stuff. I just don't believe David here with his photoshopping.
So you don't believe the Jersey Devil can look like a poorly photoshopped Jersey Devil if it so chooses? That's how good he is.
All right. More importantly, though, shortly after, a video emerged from a woman named Emily Martin, who actually managed to take a video of the Jersey Devil. It should be noted this is shortly after the David Black picture, so motivation might be that she saw the picture and was like, I can do better. Even though she claims the video is undoctored and completely real, many believe this video is fake with the unnatural movement of the body and the strange, graceful way it flies. You guys should open up the video and have a quick look. It's very short.
I did just that. That is the most convincing evidence yet. I'll give you that.
Have you guys never seen this video before?
No.
Look at it.
It's stupid little arms.
It's so cute. See, this is what I mean. It's kind of like a little fairy.
It's not moving an inch except for its wings that are trying so hard.
Yeah, it looks like it's like flying out of control. It doesn't know how to fly.
It's like it's about to crash into the tree. What does it look like? Yeah, that's what he looks
Very
like.
serious.
I don't see what the joke is here.
Emily did get something sinister on footage, that's for sure.
Look at its little hands. So its entire body is not moving. Its wings are just propelling it forward aimlessly, like it's out of control.
It's like a PNG, except for the wings behind it. And also, why, if it was over to her left, why was she aiming up in the sky away from it, waiting for it to come to the frame?
That's what I was thinking. Like she wasn't capturing it directly. She was like capturing the sky, and then it flew into frame, which makes absolutely no sense. If you saw the Jersey Devil, you would film it immediately. Like you would have the camera point at it immediately, not like the cinematic shot.
But of course, what actually happened is the devil told her it was going to be over there. So
yeah, of course. Anyway, so those are the most recent sightings and photographic and video proof. So I think we can give this the red thread stamp of it's real.
Mm-hmm.
The Jersey Devil is a legitimate creature captured on film.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. But still, let's do our due diligence and go over some theories about what it potentially could be. And honestly, there doesn't seem to be any real theories about what it is, other than some people claim that it's creatures like the blue heron or the hammerhead bat. But I do have an interesting story. Isaiah, would you like to take this one? Because this is an interesting kind of basis for the story itself, like the origin story. A compelling reason why it existed in the first place.
Excellent. There's another story that has the roots of the Jersey Devil in politics. Daniel Leeds and his family came to America in 1677. The family were devoted Quakers and were very politically and religiously active authors and publishers. Despite this, Daniel was always a bit of an outcast in the religion. They settled in Burlington, where shortly after he published an almanac, an annual calendar that contains important dates. Many of his neighbors were also Quakers who promptly attacked him over the use of astrology in the almanac. He was seen as a lunatic, and his fellow Quakers began to call him evil. While he made a public apology, he went against the wishes of the town to destroy all copies and instead continue to publish the almanac.
So this was like the first example of like cancel culture, guys. He got canceled.
You're right. It's the wokeism trying to destroy the devil's good name as a true patriot and truther of the country and truth also. Yeah.
I can't believe society was this bad.
I can't believe Obama did this.
It's so funny.
He continued his writings, and his neighbors continued to suppress and hate his work, like any real American. In 1699, he released The Trumpet Sounded Out of the Wilderness of America, which was an anti-Quaker book.
Yeah, so he got cancelled and bullied so hard by his own people that he's like, fuck you guys. You guys suck. So then he started publishing like anti-Quaker stuff. which is hilarious.
I'm not afraid. He's listening to that while he's doing it. In the following years, he continued printing anti-Quaker pamphlets and pieces of work, one even titled Satan's Harbinger Encountered, his false news of a trumpet detected, his crooked ways in the wilderness, laid open to view of the imperial.
Very catchy title there.
Yeah, what a short, easy to remember thing.
Well, so what's his like? What is his actual fascination with trumpets? Because they show up in every single fucking title that he creates.
I believe he's talking about Quaker ideas around trumpets and revelation and stuff like that. If I had to guess,
so it's a Quaker belief that trumpets are like a core tenet of their belief system.
If I had to guess, I'm not super familiar with Quakers. I know the basis is that they are a very sinners in the hands of an angry God kind of perspective, like very, they see God as more of a ruler, and they believe more in penance than they do abstinence. I mean, they also believe in abstinence, but they're a very penitent religion, if that makes sense.
I didn't even know they were a religion. I thought they were like a brand of food, which is wild.
Well, that's
because
what
of Quaker
Oats is
Oats.
named on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so that is actually a brand. Okay.
It is. Yeah, Quaker Oats is a food that's named. It got its name because it was started by Quakers.
Ah, okay, that makes sense then.
In most traditions, you'll see Quakers. They're confused a lot for like Amish or Midianites because a lot of sects of them will like abstain from technology or like modern implements and stuff like that because again, they have a focus on sort of not earning, but placing themselves in a sort of penitent state in worship to God.
Right. Mm. Okay.
So anyway, this led, because of his anti-Quaker works, this led many to believe that he worshipped the devil. Daniel retired in 1716. His son Titan Leeds, which is a cool name.
Cool name. Yeah,
in 1728, redesigned the front page of the almanac and their family crest to feature wyverns, mythical creatures that resemble dragons with 2 legs, wings, and a long pointed tail that has a venomous stinger at the end. This somewhat resembles the Jersey Devil. Titan then, interestingly enough, ended up in a feud with Benjamin Franklin.
Haven't heard of him.
No, it's like having an end credit moment, like Nick Fury
this is like the Avengers moment
Yeah.
of this episode. Yeah.
In his Poor Richard's Almanac, he said that astrological calculations showed that Titan Leeds would die in 1733. When this didn't happen, Titan called out Franklin as a liar.
Hi, you liar! I'm still alive.
You fool!
Yeah, that is true. So, wait, before we go on, an almanac is kind of like I think it's described as like a calendar of sorts, of a calendar of predictions based on astrological.
It is a calendar that has pieces of advice. It uses the stars to talk about the best times of the year to plant crops, to bring up crops, stuff like that.
So it's pretty obvious why the Quakers would have an issue with him then, or the almanac.
A normal almanac would be fine if it was just... Everyone had almanacs who farmed, because it's like, this is the good week to plant your stuff. This is a good week to plant this, whatever. Everyone had them. It's because he used astrology as a part of his deductions that they had an issue with it. Because astrology has history and paganism. There's some stuff and there's some verses in the Bible that people have pulled to say astrology is expressly satanic. So like
all those things.
Yeah, Christian groups have had a lot of Christian groups have had problems with astrology for a long time, so that's why they had an issue with it.
Right, that makes sense.
So he ended up in a feud with Franklin. And when that didn't happen, Titan called him out. But to rebuke this, Franklin said that Titan did die and that his ghost, and that this was his ghost, and argued that Titan must have been resurrected from the dead. This was a publicity stunt by Franklin to remove competition against his almanac, which became famous while Titan's did not. But in Benjamin Franklin's sighting, he says, "Honest Titan, deceased, was raised from the dead and made to abuse his old friend Franklin."
What was Benjamin Franklin's problem, dude? I thought this guy was like an American hero.
He is, but also Titan could have been a jerk. Who knows? Maybe Titan was really annoying, and Franklin was like, "Oh, maybe you are dead. Did we ever think of that?"
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin sounds like a lunatic, though. Like, he's also doing, like, astrological predictions. I mean, yeah.
You guys don't remember... Wasn't Benjamin Franklin, like, a nudist?
Well, that doesn't mean he's a lunatic, first of all.
He hooked up with, like, every woman in France.
Benjamin Franklin
you guys
loved
are
to
just
compose...
making him sound cool. Like, that's not a lunatic.
What do you mean?
He liked to be naked and he liked to fuck.
No, he
something
used
weird.
to just be naked for the fun of it. So, like, naked calisthenics, air baths, headstands, and other artistic things he would do while naked.
He was the first perineum bleacher.
You want to
Perineum tanner, first of all.
Whatever.
You want to know some cursed knowledge about Benjamin Franklin? Supposedly, this is rumored. No, I don't know if it's true, but according to myth, when he was in France, he hooked up with so many women, and while doing so, he practiced. I'm a good little Christian boy, so I'm not going to say it. You can defer. He practiced. Rather than a woman performing a favor for a man, he performed a favor for a woman, if you catch my drift, which was rare at the time. And apparently he had to be banished.
The fuck are you I don't know what he's... Charlie, can
you... He ate her out.
There you go. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you. So he apparently would do that so much that he had to be removed from staying at the palace in France because women were coming to his door all hours of the night wanting to see him. To at one point, there was a line out the door.
This is something that he told his bros, and he's like, yeah, dude, I totally munchbox for hours. They kept coming over, and I couldn't stop. And it was just a lonely old man, probably, that hadn't seen a woman.
That's what I think, especially when you see all the drawings of him being like this fat, loser-looking guy.
Yeah. It sounds like he had an ego and he just wanted to fluff it. That's
the way I choose to see it, because it was by Benjamin Franklin going to France that he managed to convince Lafayette to give us assistance in the revolution, which won the war. So if you think about it, Benjamin Franklin performing his husbandly duties won the war, won us our independence. So maybe if you Australians tried a little bit harder, you wouldn't have a British flag on your flag right now.
I don't believe in it. I don't believe in pleasuring others. Jesus Christ. Anyway, Benjamin Franklin. So Titan Leeds died a few years later in 1938, which is very close to when the stories say that the Jersey Devil was born. As intense feelings of revolution were present at the time, the Leeds family were easy targets for people to target as they were British. The Leeds Devil, or the Jersey Devil, became a symbol of political disdain born from a distaste for the British as well as the Leeds family. So, not 1938. This would have been like 1838 probably, or maybe
1738, brother.
Yeah.
Titan Leeds died in 1938.
After living for a crisp 200 years.
Just to prove Benjamin Franklin wrong.
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin said you're resurrected from the dead, and he's like, am not, and died 230 years later.
Fueled by spite. No, but so that he died around the same time that the Jersey Devil story began. So I think they're connected, especially since this was the Leeds family and it was called the Leeds Monster, which I think it was connected. I think that's where the whole story was born from. I'm sure you guys agree.
Yep.
Of course.
Okay, cool. All right. And now we have modern day pop culture, because he still exists in some things. People still talk about him, including us. So he's alive and well in media today. Probably the best known reference is from season 1, episode 5 of The X-Files, titled The Jersey Devil, where the lead characters try to track down the Jersey Devil. There's also a professional ice hockey team in Newark, New Jersey, that's also called the New Jersey Devils. Are they any good?
They're pretty okay from what I understand. They usually do pretty well. Let's see how they're doing this year.
Okay.
Because we're in playoffs
He's called
right
the
now.
NJ Devil, and he's a 7-foot red and black devil.
This drawing from the X-Files is the most pathetic attempt of the Jersey Devil I've ever seen. That's not even...
I don't even know. So that was just a picture when I Googled the Jersey Devil X-Files episode. I don't even know if that's meant to be a portrayal of the Jersey Devil. I think it might be. It's just this drawing of a man.
With long hair.
It is just a guy.
Like this.
That is Charlie spotted in the middle of the woods.
It actually is.
Draw a silent fart coming out of him. It's uncanny.
Yeah.
The resemblance.
And the Devils did a big stinker this year.
Ugh, yuck.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. It's also a roller coaster. It's also one of the world's fastest single rail roller coasters, located at Six Flags Great Adventure, which opened in June 2021. And beyond that, the Jersey Devil is set to appear in the next expansion of Fallout 76 in the Atlantic City update.
They're still updating that piece of shit?
Yeah, dude, did you not hear? Fallout 76 is good now.
Yeah, people keep saying that. I just can't believe it.
I don't believe it either, yeah. I actually played it the other night and it's still like super broken. But I will, you know what? I'll log in once the Jersey Devil is added. I'll go meet the Jersey Devil, see what they do with him.
Sounds good. I'll join you.
Nice. Yeah, let's play it. Sounds cool. All right. Any last thoughts about the Jersey Devil? I mean, that's everything.
Yeah, he's a real goofy thing.
Still S tier, Isaiah?
Still S tier, yeah. The reason he's S tier is because not only has it influenced so much of the culture around that area of New England, but he's also, like I said earlier, representative of the entire culture and the mindset, the history that the story was birthed from. And he has an interesting origin. There's interesting lore about don't be in the pine barrens after dark, look up in the trees, he may stalk you. He's a fascinating creature for a lot of regions, imbirthed with a lot of that early Americana spirit. So yeah, he's an S tier cryptid to me.
He was going to be A tier for me, probably, just based, entirely designed around the fact that he is so popular and you hear about him so much. But I'm actually pushing him up to S tier because I didn't realize that Benjamin Franklin and the King of Spain were both included in the story. And I just don't know how much... no other fucking cryptid has that kind of star appeal. This is a star-studded cast. I
mean, how many cryptids do you know that have a hockey team named after them, right?
True, or a roller coaster.
No.
Yeah. There's a lot to it. And also, again, that 1 week period back in 1909, I think it was, where it was cited so much. I think that's it's compelling to some degree, even though it's probably mass hysteria. It's still a super cool part of the mythos of the Jersey Devil. And I'm taking your stance this time, Isaiah. I believe he existed at that time, but he was unfortunately killed.
Or no, if he was killed, they would have had a body. He probably just died.
Well, no, he's a satanic creature, isn't he? You shoot him, he dies, and he just sinks into hell or something, I assume.
There'd be a report of that, though.
Not if he's sunk into hell. Where's the body, Charlie?
I guess, but someone would definitely be like, "Yeah, I just killed the Jersey Devil,"
and no one would believe him because there's no body.
Yeah, but it'd still be reported this guy might have killed the Jersey Devil. They fucking report a cab driver who heard a rustling on his roof. They would absolutely report that.
But you hear Charlie over here. It's never enough for him. It's never. Yeah. It's always got to be. He wants the body, but the body couldn't be there. Yeah, what would it take?
There's photographic proof, Charlie.
No, I thought the video was very compelling.
There you go. That's the spirit. So now that all three of us believe in the Jersey Devil and understand him to be a real thing that can happen, I think we're good. I think we did what we set out to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the Jersey Devil. That's all it is, really. That's all these cryptid episodes are, really. There's not really much else we can dive into beyond everything that we've dived into. So that's going to do it for this episode of Red Thread. Let us know your thoughts below. What you think of Red Thread, cryptid episodes, stuff like this. Let us know your thoughts on the Jersey Devil, as well as rate us on Spotify, like us, subscribe to us, all that good stuff. Let us know if you're waiting for Charlie to spread his cheeks and fart for us. Let us know if that's something that you want from future episodes of Red Thread.
My favorite cryptid.
We can make it a running theme. He can start every episode off, instead of me writing 8-minute stories or whatever it was, he can start off with a little trumpet of his own, perhaps. So you cool. Let us know. Let us know your thoughts. All right, that's gonna be it. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you to Isaiah for joining us for this one, even with his wisdom teeth being removed.
Absolutely. I'm glad for all the ridiculousness that's gone on this episode. I have an excuse. And to that one person who came here because they really wanted to learn about the Jersey Devil, I'm so sorry.
I mean, in between elements.
But yeah, he was educational. He paid for it.
He paid for it in the meantime. Yeah, go listen to the other episodes if you want more information about things other than the Jersey Devil. Let us know what you guys think. Anyway, that's it. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.